So for first couple of months, I was not sure what I'm doing. I was trying different things, but I did not have any direction at that point of time. Then we attended a 3-day event about real estate investing and how to become a real estate investor. And that blew my mind completely. Like when I learned about subject to wrap, wholesaling, what is all this? Like I just
A
know.
new universe, yes.
Yeah, exactly. The strategy is for those owners who have high equity in the house. So there are certain criteria for which this strategy can be applied. So they need to have at least 50-60% equity in the house. Their house needs some work, right? So they don't have money to do that work. If house is fixed up, it will sell at much higher price. So right now, if they sell their property, they may get 60-70 cents a dollar. Whereas once it is fixed up, they can get full price on the property. So this is the premise of it. The way it works.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo están?
Muy buenos días, tardes o noche, donde sea que nos escuchen. Gracias por sintonizar un episodio más de Real Estate Talks. Recuerden de seguirnos y ponerles la campanita para suscribirse y que puedan recibir notificaciones de cada semana. Tenemos un podcast nuevo todos los miércoles.
Miércoles a las 7 de la mañana ya estamos, pero ocupamos sus reviews y su follow para que podamos seguir haciéndolo. Así que encantada de estar aquí, Gaby.
Y anuncio en esta ocasión, vamos a tener el podcast en inglés porque tenemos un invitadazo, Abhi Agrawal. Thank you. Welcome for the to be in Real Estate Talks.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here and really excited to talk about some real estate with two amazing women, Lala and Gaby. Thank you so much.
No, Abhi, thank you so much for being here. I'm really happy to have you here because when Gaby and I were going through the list of people who we should invite and she told me what you did, I found it really unique and particular. So I just thought that it was going to be really interesting to share what you do with your audience. So thanks for being here and giving us a bit of your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
But before we move to that specifically, what are you doing in real estate right now? Would you tell us like a little bit of your background? When did you move to the States? And like, did you wanted to do real estate right away? Or how was that path for you?
Right. Yeah. So journey is pretty interesting. So my wife and I, we both moved to States in 2015 and we came here to do masters at University of Texas at Dallas. So we both did master there and we completed in around 1.5 years. So that was the first exposure to real US culture and it's very different from what we have in India. So that was pretty fun. Once we completed our masters, so I got placed in Deloitte. So I was working for Deloitte and doing a lot of consulting work there. My wife was also working for a consulting firm. So we both were traveling a lot during that time. So yeah, we moved in 2015. We stayed in Dallas for 5 years. Then we both got job here in Austin in Google. So we moved here in 2021. Until that point, I had no idea about doing real estate investment or being an investor at all. But as we stayed here for 2-3 years, towards the last couple of years, I started talking about my wife, like, I want to do something of my own. I had no idea what I'm going to do. But we kept discussing this back and forth, and I was saying, like, this is now the time that I should try something, otherwise I may regret it later.
Yes.
So we ultimately decided once I completed 15 years in tech industry, I left my job.
Oh, so you left your job in Google.
Yeah, I left my job and I should say I left my tech industry altogether.
Yeah, your tech.
Right?
Yeah. It was...
So I left tech and then for first couple of months, I left it without knowing what I'm going to do next.
Wow.
The only thing is, whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to be 100% involved in that. I cannot do job as well as the other thing that I want to pursue. So for first couple of months, I was not sure what I'm doing. I was trying different things, but I did not have any direction at that point of time. But then we attended a 3-day event of about real estate investing and how to become a real estate investor. And that blew my mind completely. Like when I learned about subject to wrap, wholesaling, I was like, what is all this? Like, I just
A new universe, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, I know about investment. I bought a couple of properties in India, but that's all I knew. Like I buy, they appreciate, we put it on rent, we sell it.
Yeah.
That's all I knew. And when I heard about this thing, like this is even possible and people are doing it, that's where I got really excited about being a real estate investor. And my wife and I, we discussed. It was a big decision. And we both discussed and we decided, yeah, let's give it a shot.
Let's go for it.
Let's go for it. So that's how my journey started as a real estate investor in 2024 March.
And
So only 2024 March. So like a year ago.
A year ago. Okay,
Mhm.
only a year ago.
Yes.
Wow. So then, within real estate, there's so many different niches and opportunities, right?
Right.
So how did you guys decide what to do? And can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now so the audience knows what we're going to focus on?
Absolutely. So I'm part of a network,
Mhm.
which is a very big network in Texas. And I learned a lot of things from that network. So I learned about all these different strategies. So they focus on knowing all the strategies, not just one. So I got to know about wholesale, about equity partnership, and subject to wrap. So innovation. So I did, like, as I was doing my marketing and as I was getting involved in real estate business, I did not have any specific strategy in mind. I always look at the deal, we analyze, and then we come up with the strategy that makes sense for the owner as well as for us, right? So I do a lot of different strategies, we do subject to, we do wholesaling. Novation is something that I'm doing it right now a lot.
Would you explain? We have talked in other podcasts, and you guys can come back to those. We have talked in extent about subject to, about wraps, owner finance. We have not talked about innovation, and that's what we wanted to just explore a little bit. Or like the other one that you wanted to
Equity.
mention, in the equity partnership,
Yeah.
which are very interested in opportunity out there.
Absolutely. So novation is a very unique strategy, and the way it works is generally when you buy cash, your offer is usually around 75% of market value minus repairs, right? So for example, if a house worth $200,000 and my cash and it needs $10,000 repairs, my offer would come around $130,000. But for owner to accept that offer, it does not go well all the time unless
Yes.
they have like
It needs to be like desperate to sell.
very
Mhm.
motivated, right? So now you have to come up with a strategy where you don't risk your money, plus owner also gets what they are looking for. So this is where innovation comes into picture, where we can offer a little bit more. So if my cash offer is 130, I'll say, okay, how about if I get you 150,000 or 160,000? But I just need a little bit more time to sell this property. So we come to an agreement on the price with the owner. Once that price is locked, we basically get there. We have certain documentation, and there is a certain way you need to pitch this idea. I mean, giving it in very layman term right now.
Mhm.
But once you have that agreement signed, you basically go ahead and list the property as is. You don't put any money down. You list the property as is, and you know that there are retail buyers who are ready to take these opportunities, which require a little bit of work, but they are going to get a good discount. So let's say if I signed an agreement with 150 with the owner, I may list it at 175 because property worth 200, I'm already giving it some discount. So we do get buyers who are looking for opportunities like this. And this is where like it creates a win-win situation for everyone, because we are not doing a risky deal by offering more than what we can.
Mhm.
Plus owner is getting what they want to get. And basically the end buyer who is going to get the property, they are also getting a discount in a way, right?
And you enlist this property. So it's not like off market like a wholesaler. You actually put it in the MLS, and the end buyer can be a first-time home buyer who is trying to get a deal or a discount house, and they're willing to do the work.
Exactly. Because to wholesale a deal, it has to be 65% of ARV or 70% of the ARV, so that wholesaler, like the other party, can make some money on it. But when it comes to novation, there is not a lot of margin to play with, and that's where you need to play it carefully. you again do not offer 90% of the market value, then this may not sell in the market. But you have to have enough discount that it sells in the market, plus owner also gets what they're looking for.
What I don't really get is what difference would it make? So for the seller, who's normally like a desperate seller, someone that wants to sell their house for some reason in cash, if you are a wholesaler, you will offer a lot less. So they prefer you that are offering more. But what are you getting back?
What would be my profit?
Yes. No, not your profit, but like your benefit for offering more than a wholesaler would be what? You mentioned time. Can
Right.
you go again to that part just
Sure.
to make sure we understand?
Absolutely. So let's say my cash offer is 130,000, right? But seller saying no way,
No,
I'm
no.
not going
Too
to
low.
accept.
Too low for me.
Too low
My
for
house
me.
is worth 200. No.
Exactly. So I say okay, 130 does not work for you, but how about I give you more money, in return you give me more time to sell the property, because right now I'm putting my own money to put in.
So normally, and I'm repeating this again for the audience, right? So normally, if you were a wholesaler, you would say 130,
Right.
and I would say I'm the seller,
Right. Yeah, let's do a role play.
Let's do a role play.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's do
like
that.
this. Okay, come on and tell me.
Okay, Lala. So we did analysis on your property, and based on how much work it needs and the kind of risk we need to take, the maximum we can offer on this cash as cash is 130,000, which we'll close it in 30 days. No closing cost to you.
30 days.
Yes.
130,000 cash.
That's correct.
You're crazy. You're crazy. My house is worth 200K.
I know that, and I'm not arguing against it. You're right. Your house worth 200,000, but imagine if I buy it at 200,000, I don't keep it for myself. I ultimately sell it to the end buyer. If I buy it from you in 200,000, where I'm putting my own cash money, where I'm paying 12% interest on my money plus the holding cost, and then selling it at a retail market by paying to realtor, what would I make? I'll be in deep red in that
I'm
case.
sorry, but 130 is too low. I cannot take that. And in 330, I mean, you're telling me it's a cash buy, so it's 130 now. You're saying 1 month.
Right, 130 in 1 month. We can close it within 30 days.
No, I'm not. I'm out. No.
I
like
totally
Shark Tank.
understand.
So that's a wholesaler. Then what's the difference?
Yes, I totally understand, Lala. I can do one thing. I can see with my team if you can qualify for one of our program.
Mm-hmm.
If I do that, we may be able to offer a little bit higher. Let me check with my team if that's possible.
Okay, go and check. You go and check, and then
Come back. So, Lala, I have some good news for you. We could qualify you for our program, and now we can offer you 150,000. The only downside is, or one thing that you need to give us in return. So we are giving you more money as you were asking, but in return, we need a little bit more time to close. We need 60 to 90 days to close this property.
60 to 90 days.
Yeah, I mean.
So what did you
But
do?
there's a contract. So we send. So say okay. So I agree.
Right.
But still, honestly, when you were talking about this, I thought cash it would be like a 1 week close or 2 week close. I didn't know it was a month. And then so when you're getting so you sign a contract for 60 to 90 days,
Right.
right? And that when do you give me the cash?
Right. So the documentation is slightly different in case of novation. It
Okay.
requires different set of documentation along
We're done
With the role play.
Con la obra. Ya acabamos con la obra. Okay.
So we are over with the role play, right?
Yeah.
Yes. We're back to
Okay.
normal.
So the documentation work is little different in case of novation, and it requires very specific set of documentation, the way it needs to be done, because in general, if you're not the owner, you cannot list the property. So it has to be done in very specific way that gives you right to list the property.
Yes, but then I say yes. Okay, between 60 and 90 days?
Yes.
For 150. Okay,
Yeah.
Where do we sign?
So I'll send you the paperwork. We'll go through every line by line, whatever questions
And
you
this
have.
is not a typical Trek contract.
It will still be track, but along with that, there would be certain addendums and extra documentation.
So
you-
it's a
and it
typical
has-
Trek contract, but with some addendums. Okay.
And it has to be closed in a title company. So you
It has
have all
to.
the documentation, because then what I'm understanding is that now you become a part of the, I don't know if he's going to form, and we don't want to get in details on how it's going to form because I know it can be different in each situation, but you pretty much, like you mentioned, in order to lease the property, for you, Abhi, to lease the property, not the seller, you need to have like ownership of the property.
Not ownership, certain agreements in
place with the seller.
With the seller. Seller is still the owner. So let's say like within 60 to 90 days, if I do not close, they are still retaining the property.
Yes, just using
So
you.
you lease a property and you don't pay cash.
We don't pay cash until we get the end buyer. So, I mean, listing is obviously one way. Sometimes we also get some hedge funds and other partners who are ready to buy property at little higher price.
Gotcha.
Right? So it gives us more time to find the end buyer and give more to the owner and have our buffer in between.
So what you do is you get that right to sell the other people's house, so you have more time and you start to promote it within your contacts.
Correct.
What do you do? Facebook group?
To the end buyer.
Yeah. So we have like
MLS.
buyer list, MLS. So there are like different avenues where we will market this property.
And then say you get an offer and it's a traditional, conventional offer, which is most of that transactions are like that. And then what happens then?
So it's like we are kind of closing the property in the sense, but then we ask owner to sign all the documents. So there is a little bit technicality involved
In between.
when we close. But since everything happens with the title company, it is mostly handled by the title company on the documentation side. So in general, let's say I receive an offer of 170. So I'll keep 20K and I promised 150K to the owner. So they will get 150K.
Gotcha.
And you keep 20.
We will keep.
And then in these cases, you don't put any money to fix the property.
No.
It's just like the
As
way
is.
it is, as is.
Yeah. And that's why this strategy is pretty powerful because you don't have to do the renovation work or put your own money right away. It works for those who have little bit of more time. So, I mean, if somebody is offering me 20 grand more for waiting for 2 months, 3 months, I mean, it's worth waiting 2-3 months, right? I mean, from their point of view.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if someone wants to sell their house, should they contact you and then you would do your research and see if it makes sense or not?
See, you're talking about as a seller.
As a seller.
Yeah. So we will talk to them. We will try to understand what they are looking for. And then we will make an offer based on what is right for that owner.
And let me play the devil's advocate. What, as a seller, why would I just sell it to you for 150 or I try to put it in the market for 175?
Right. So when that's a legitimate question, right? But the thing is, we guarantee that price.
Oh, I got you.
So we
It's
guarantee
like
that price, that this is what you're going to walk away. Plus, we don't ask you to stage or do any of those things.
Oh,
We try to make
pay the realtor. Or
you don't have to do any of those things. So we are going to take care of all the back end process that is happening. Plus, scheduling is also done with the help of owner, like this person is going to come and visit the property. So there are a lot of things that we take care of that owners do not want to when they traditionally list the house.
Gotcha.
So I think that's the benefit that they get out of it.
Okay, but now let's talk about one that the reason why I have Abhi here is because we've been working on a deal together. We belong to the same network that Abhi was mentioning, and that's how I met him. And I heard about that, and I was like, okay, I have a seller that I might work. I mean, it's a high-end property, and it's an opportunity to different than what you just mentioned.
Right.
So it's no nation. We're
No.
moving on. So is helping this seller sell for more in a market, like we can list it for 1.1 or 1.2, but like if we bring Abby's team to it, then in this case, you put the money, you renovated it, then the seller can benefit by making more on the sale. Can you explain us that concept?
So
Right.
this is another strategy, right?
Another
That's another
strategy.
thing that you do. Okay.
Yeah. So we are done with innovation. We are moving to a different strategy. And
How do you call it?
Yeah, we call it equity partnership,
Okay.
or we call it seller partner seller partnership.
Okay.
So in summary, the strategy is for those owners who have high equity in the house. So there are certain criteria for which this strategy can be applied. So they need to have at least 50-60% equity in the house. Their house needs some work, right? So they don't have money to do that work. And if house is fixed up, it will sell at much higher price. So right now, if they sell their property, they may get 60, 70 cents a dollar. Whereas once it is fixed up, they can get full price on the property. So this is the premise of it. The way it works is, so I'll run with our example that we are doing, right? So Gaby has a buyer, has a seller who has above $1 million house in very nice neighborhood.
I was actually going to ask about that, about if it was, it applied to all prices, like high end.
Generally, to keep our margins and make minimum money that we want to make, it has to be mostly around 800 and above.
Yeah.
That's what I'm targeting right now. But it can also work with 600, 500 if
But it
has
goes
good-
more towards the high end.
towards the high end.
Yes,
Then
because
it makes
that's what
more
the
sense.
gap is.
It makes
you
more
know.
sense.
Mhm.
Okay.
Although I'm not opposed to running it by a person who is having like
Mhm.
500, 600.
No, but right now in this market, the house or that I'm seeing a lot of homes, high-end homes suffering in this market because I think that was the most affected.
Mhm.
Right. Exactly.
And I think the gap between 800 and 1.5, there are a lot of homes who have a lot of equity.
Exactly.
That if you really put an extra $100,000, you make 200 or 300.
Exactly.
You'll make the
That's what it
difference,
makes
right.
sense.
Exactly. So
Okay, so let's continue with the examples.
right. So in this case where Gaby has a seller, this person has a house which is around 1.1, 1.2. Good equity, 60% equity at least. But they cannot put on the market as is because of few reasons. One, they have a lot of pets in the house.
Pets?
Yeah, a
Mhm.
lot of pets in the house. And those are like little exotic pets.
Mhm.
So it's difficult to list.
To show, yeah. For
Yeah,
the
to
showings,
showing.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then house does need some work, not a lot, but it does need some work, and they don't have money to put that.
What area is this house in?
It's in the South Austin.
South
Mhm.
Austin, yeah. So this house needs some work, right? Pretty well maintained, but it still needs work, updation based on current market, right? So that is the second thing. Third, this gentleman wants to move to a newer place, but they don't have enough money to vacate the house and move to a newer place because they cannot list it if they are staying there, and they cannot move because they don't have money.
Okay.
So all these criterias are perfect fit for this kind of strategy, where what we offer is we say, okay, we come as so we are. There are two people in this partnership. One is owner who is bringing property to the table. Other one is us who are bringing the money and the expertise. So what we say, tell to the seller that, hey, we are okay to pitch in our money to renovate this entire place. If you need a little bit of money upfront to move to a different place, we will provide that too. But we generally don't encourage that. But if they really need, we are okay to pitch in that money. So in case of where we were talking about this example, the seller needs around 50K upfront to move to a different place, and then house needs approximately 100,000 in repairs. Right. So what we do is we from our funders we get this 150K and we put it in the property to fix it up, and then once it is fixed up to the market standards, then we sell it at top market price, what market can support.
So instead of selling it for 800K,
you sell it at 1.4 million.
1.4.
I mean, I'm just giving an example. Let's say property by
1.2, like for 100K repairs. The thing is that the owners don't have the money or the energy, because it could be the case. Because I know that I don't have the energy to do the repairs and to put it in market. Like
yeah, and that's exactly like we have clients who do not have time or bandwidth to take care of the work. They have the money, and those are good fit where they don't need money to move out of the place. So they use their own money. But coming back to the example, so let's say property worth right now, if they list it, it may go at 1 million. But with our 150K, it can go at 1.3, 1.4, right? So once property sells, how everyone makes money, right? So once property sells, first of all, we recoup our money that we put in with interest, obviously, because we get it
with interest. Yeah,
with interest.
You put the money in. It's
like a hard money.
Hard money.
Like a 12%.
Yeah, exactly. So we got that money back, and then we charge a small service fee on the sales price. So if, let's say, property is selling at 1.4, we may charge 6, 8 or 10% based on the situation.
As a realtor?
Not as
No.
a realtor. So
It's
realtor
on
is
top
separate.
of the realtor's fees.
On top of the
Mhm.
realtor. So realtor's job is different. So for in this instance, Gabby's the realtor.
Mhm.
So she has whatever agreement she has with the owner, she's going to charge that. But for all the work we are doing and all the money
It's like
we
a
are bringing,
contractor and the facilitator fee, no? Because you got the money for them in order to move on. You got the money for the renovations. You also coordinate the renovations.
we do we have our own team
Mhm.
which does the renovation work. So we coordinate entire that part, including, so this money also includes staging and everything.
Okay.
Mhm.
So it's market ready now. Gabby, with the help of realtor, obviously we'll discuss with the realtor
Mhm.
what's their thought is, and then it is ready for listing. And then we list it at the market, at the top value that market can
Mhm.
support. And before we do all of this, we show a calculation to owner that this is what it looks like, because I need to make sure that if they are waiting for 4, 5, 6 months and we are investing 150K, are they getting more returns or not?
Exactly. Does it make
Yes.
sense?
Does it make any sense or
Because
not?
they're going to be paying you interest on that money. So
Exactly.
if, for example, you cannot sell for the amount, they would still pay you interest and they would have to pay you back at some point.
Exactly. So
Mhm.
the way we do is we create best, average, and worst case scenario, and property has to sell. So we keep dropping the price, and that we'll explain to the seller as well.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But let's say there are instances where they say, no, I cannot go below $1 million. I mean, I just
Mhm.
cannot do that.
Mhm.
And we say, okay, that's fine. You can just pay us back for our
Get a loan
money.
somewhere
and
else to almost like a refi.
Mhm.
Go refi and pay us back.
Yeah. And all these things are told upfront, and there is no catch in it. We tell them like, this is what we think. And we are generally very conservative when we do our best, average, and worst, so that we are mentally preparing them what they can expect.
Mhm.
So we did one deal in Leander where we did equity partnership like this, and we had estimated it will go at 1.05 million, 1,050,000, but we ended up selling at 1.15. So
Really?
yeah, so we
And how much was that house then before the repairs? Like, what was that? If you had put it on the market as is without the repairs?
so this scenario was slightly different because this owner was going into foreclosure.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
House
So
was
they were
decent.
under pressure.
Uh-huh.
House
Mhm.
was decent, but it has ton of equity. So they just owe 600 something to the bank, property worth 1.1 million.
Mhm.
So this is where like we pitch in, we reinstated the loan, gave owner some upfront money, and then we did the work. It was not a lot of work, maybe 60 grand max that we
Mhm.
put in.
Okay.
So it will depend on the seller
So
situation.
you're searching for these houses in the MLS that have days and days and days in market that don't sell. So those could be potential.
Right. So that's a good question. How do you find these
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
leads, right? One is we generally get it through referrals. So
Referrals.
people reach out to us. For example, Gabby knows about it. Some other realtors know about it. So they reach out to us, and when they see,
And do
we are-
you pay a referral fee?
so the advantage in this case is for realtor, if property sells at 1 million, they will get commission at 1 million.
Mhm.
So you're
If it
still doing
itself-
referrals from realtors, not referrals from people that are not realtors.
No, we are okay. I mean, we listed ourselves too. Like I have a realtor in my team. So we try to approach people directly too. And the way we do it is we look at the expire listing where property needs some work, and we think that property did not sell because it needed some work.
And in this market, as a realtor, there is not only, I mean, of course, the commission for a higher price, but also almost like a guarantee sale versus I'm gonna, as a realtor, listing a home. If the price is not realistic and the house doesn't show great, you probably can work for a full year and not sell the house
Right.
and then go to expire or go to withdraw. So, and that's one of the reasons why I brought you in, just to show the difference. And another thing, like a station, like any single listing right now needs to have some type of station.
Yeah.
If not, it's gonna go stale and it's not gonna sell. So it's just so, because the market right now is asking for all those bell and whistles for
Exactly.
that house to
Exactly.
be able to shine in this inventory.
You're right.
Like we need to have these sellers to be able to show the best on the house.
Exactly. And like right now, people are buying $1 million house which has everything in it, right? New
Mhm.
build. So if you want to compete with them with older house, the good thing about older houses, they are in location.
Location,
Mhm.
that's the
Right.
thing, yeah.
But
Yeah.
then, like as a buyer, when somebody is putting down $1 million over in the house, they want all the bells and whistles when they
Totally.
invite
I know.
friends and family, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, I mean, Abhi, thank you so much for sharing these creative opportunities in real estate. As we always say here, there's always a way, there's always a creative way to find a solution. And in real estate, what I've found is that there's someone, like a problem for someone can be an opportunity for the other. But it's not about taking advantage of the other
Right.
party. It's about helping out.
Exactly.
And to try to find, as in every negotiation, that win-win situation. So,
Exactly. I think that should be in the heart of all the deals,
Yes.
I
where
agree.
you need to make sure that everybody is coming out as a winning
winner.
person. Yeah,
Mhm.
as a winner.
I agree.
Yeah.
So thanks so
Well,
much
thank
for
you.
being here. We'll hope to have you back soon, like
Oh.
telling us about new things, new creative strategies you're working on.
Thank you so much for having me once again. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you, Abhi.
welcome. I'm Lala Elizondo,
And this is Gaby Proctor.
and this is Real Estate Talks.
Si llegaste hasta aquí es porque te gustó la información y estás interesado en invertir en real estate en Estados Unidos.
Para esto hemos creado un entrenamiento que te va a simplificar este camino, ya sea que seas un inversionista por primera vez o que seas un inversionista sofisticado.
En la descripción de este episodio está la liga que te llevará a este entrenamiento.
O bien búscanos en Instagram como @invierte con Lala y Gaby y comenta con la palabra invertir en cualquiera de nuestras publicaciones y así te mandamos la liga a este entrenamiento.
Muchísimas gracias por habernos escuchado. Nos vemos en el siguiente. Escucha un episodio nuevo de Real Estate Talks cada semana.
En tu plataforma favorita para escuchar podcasts.
Ponte en contacto con nosotros en lalaagaby.com.